So look, I'm going to Manitoba to cover. I've reached out to CPC. I've even asked Andrew Lawton, you know, behind the scenes. I did. I sent him a private message after all of the Twitter kerfuffle saying, hey, dude, I'm going to be in Manitoba for the election. True North covering it. Are you going to be there? And can I help in any way? Meaning maybe it can be a correspondent. Maybe I'm hanging around the PPC camp and someone else is at the CPC camp and we're both reporting what's going on. Reached out. This is independent journalism. I can tell you right now, there's no reply. But I'll be there. Okay, look. If CPC doesn't want me to cover them, doesn't want me to talk to their candidate, and all you see is Maxime on my stream, that's not by choice. It's not by choice. That's the machine actually fighting against an independent journalist who wants to speak to all sides, but I'm not getting access. I don't carry the right cards. I'm not part of the right groups. I don't shake the right hands. I don't kiss the right butts. Andrew, you're a smart guy. Do you have to? Do you have to kowtow, Andrew? And please tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm dead wrong. Please tell me that your position was unbiased. I'm not seeing it right now, buddy. I would believe that if you were showing all sides. Here's where Maxime went, 2008. And here's where Pierre went. You didn't even tell us about that. So look, I'm also not saying that it means Pierre is an offspring of anything, okay? Just like Andrew rightfully points out, being there, well, actually, he didn't point that out. I pointed it out to him. Being there doesn't mean much. Like Andrew kind of forgot that he was too there. He's the one that took the picture of these multilateral rooms that he sent me. Like he was physically there. So I'm going to assume, at least Andrew's position, being there doesn't mean you're a member. Okay. So that's true about Pierre. Like, I'm not saying he's a card carrying member of the WEF. I am saying that Pierre's side, Conservative Party, is smearing Mac's side, PPC, with the fact that Max was just there in 2008. But yet Pierre was on the website, had himself removed, had all of those interactions with the WEF, and we're not allowed to mention that. We're not allowed to talk about that. That gets dismissed. But the candidate from the Conservative Party can go ahead and say, hey, I want to attend the WEF. And then you have people like Andrew Lawton supporting any push that against Max. Andrew, dude, like, who paid for your flight? How did you get into the building to take a picture of that room? Who gave you the access? Because I know if I showed up there, they wouldn't let me in. I'd have to be allowed in. Independent journalists, right, Andrew? You got in. Explain to us how that means nothing. Because then that is also the same thing that Max could say. Andrew, you're not on their website. I looked. They don't talk about you. They don't even know you. They're not anywhere in their stuff. So that's good news. But neither is Max. Max is in none of their stuff. So, Andrew, you should actually be saying to the world, hey, look, being at the event at the same time that the main show is going on doesn't mean you're a member. And Andrew, you can do that from a firsthand experience. You can be your own witness and testify to that. You'd be a good source. I think you would trust yourself. You would understand that absolutely. You can say that. Being in Davos, being in the grounds doesn't mean you're a member. And it also doesn't mean you attended, because what you did there, Andrew, and Max was right. He called you out on that. You're playing with words. You're using attended in two different ways. You can attend the main show. You can attend a meeting within these rooms. You're the one using the word attend to confuse people to mean he was there. He's a card carrying member. He knows everything about the WEF. The WEF understand who he is, and they want to work with him. That's what you're doing, Andrew. You're the one conflating the word attend to mean two different things, but the same thing at the same time. And then you are countering and arguing a gentleman who's saying, no, look, let's split that up. There's attending, which means I went to the messaging, I participated in a speech, I watched a speech, or I did something. And Andrew, you said this in your video. You did recognize that that's a form of attending. And then he can also say, but I registered for access for a private secure room to meet with other ministers of foreign affairs because as my official capacity for the government, I was there. And none of that was hidden. Government officials, their entire itinerary is open. Like Andrew, you brought it up. You actually said, I looked at your itinerary and there was only two things I had a problem with: meeting an old party member, and I'm not even sure what the other one was, but Max addressed them both, and those were just personal items that he was going to. So, Andrew, I am so confused, my friend. Why it does appear, it's not an allegation because I don't have the evidence to support an allegation, but it does appear that you are toting a party line as an independent journalist, and you are attacking a opponent of that party unfairly. You're not correctly and you're not openly being unbiased about it. Andrew, I watched very carefully and I listened very, very carefully to your words. And one of the words that you said to Max was, or one of the sentences you said to Max was, I don't think it's good to have this discussion on Twitter because it's better to meet in person and talk about it. I agree. I sent you the invite to do exactly that, Andrew. So let's do that. Let's try and get back to it. And on that front, Andrew, happy to chat with you anytime. No ill will. I'm just concerned that you're now demonstrating to me, little old me, a different form of independent journalism that I'm not comfortable with because it doesn't feel independent anymore. It doesn't feel independent at all. Absolutely. Thank you, Perry. Yep. And if you look at my Twitter, I've also linked to it. And again, I'm not mad. I'm confused with Andrew. Like, I'm not mad at him. I think he was a gentleman. He gave me his time. We spoke very well, and I learned from him. I'm just confused because he showed the receipts for Max attending, but he didn't show the receipts for Pierre. And the message coming from the Conservative Party candidate is, hey, look, I'm not WEF connected, but if your leader is, you're just as good as connected, dude. So, and by the way, it was not Max who threw the first shot on this one. It's not Max that put up a graphic that says you're WEF. It was the candidate that says, I won't be WEF, implying Max is. He's a candidate. He has to correct the record. So I support that. I support that. And again, if I did my research and Max was everywhere, he had the same type of page. Maybe he didn't have a full bio, kind of like Pierre. Pierre didn't have a bio, but he did have a page. I'd be saying the same thing. Look, what does that mean? What does it mean that you were there? And look, what does it mean that you were able to take yourself off, Max? Like, I'd be saying the same thing. But there's simply no evidence that he was a member, that he attended the events. There's no evidence of that. The only evidence is he was in Davos and he used a boardroom or meeting room. That's it. Like, Andrew's not even accusing him of meeting with Klaus. Like, there's no accusation he met with WEF. It's completely accepted because it was documented. Again, official government business is all documented that he met with legitimate ministers of finance or no, ministers of foreign affairs when they're working on the Afghanistan war at the time. This is 2008. So I have no problem with that. Where do you want our minister of foreign affairs to go meet with people? Cafes or secure rooms? Where do you want those to happen? And if everybody's flying to Davos to meet for whatever event, like, I'm going to Manitoba to cover the election, but you've heard me speak with other people. We're going to meet and have a coffee, have a hamburger. Let's connect in Winnipeg, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's because of the convenience of proximity. We're close together near an event. So if Lee decides to drive from Winnipeg to come meet me for a coffee, we have a chat and we do a video, can I now say she attended the election? This is the same thing, Andrew. Just because you went to a conference center at the airport doesn't mean you were on a plane that day. No. So this is where I'm kind of pushing back on Andrew. Love you, man. You're doing your thing. I'm impressed with all the stuff you do. But this isn't your best work. And I'm just curious why it's not your best work. Is it just because your day was short and this is what you did and you grabbed a subject and you said, okay, hey, look, I have some receipts here. I can throw it into this conversation. You push the send button and said, go. Look, I would understand that. We don't have countless hours in a day. But you should at least then say, hey, look, Pierre was also there. Send them both out. Send them both out. Who was there in 2008? Harper must have been. That must have been other conservatives. Why don't you harp on that? Harp on Harper. You're not. You're not. You're absolutely trying to make it look like that the credibility of Max can't be trusted for two reasons. One, he was at WEF, and two, he's lying about it. That's 100% what you're doing here. It's what the candidate's doing. It's what Pierre is doing. And it's what you're doing. And that's kind of where I disconnect from you, my friend, because it looks like you are pulling the party platform. You're pulling the party narrative. And we don't like it on the other side. CBC does nothing but that. Why are you? I don't want to see that, Andrew. Like, I want to be wrong on this. But I did go through your entire thread, word for word. I did click on your links and I did watch your video. I also did my own research. I pulled up way back. I took a look myself. I did my own Google searches. I did my own research. You're ignoring my research, Andrew. I think that adds context. I don't know, man.